Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a week, I'll tell you what. It's been a long-ass week. These January weeks are different. They just fucking last forever. You know, so much has happened, by the way, and what's today? I think today's the 12th, maybe the 13th. Like, dude, so much has happened in this year already. It's crazy, I swear to God. Like, you turn on the fucking news and it's another thing, or you fucking go on X, it's another thing, and it's insane. And I've been trying to like put space between myself and all that shit just because at this point it just feels like every day is a fucking, you know, catastrophic fucking world-class event. But it's the world we live in. And yeah. Anyways, this week was good. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I want to do next. A lot of time relaxing. Just, you know, you got to follow the signs of your body. I was starting to get super bad pain from hitting this treadmill like fucking every single day. And then I started feeling pain that I hadn't felt since like I had a sciatica. It wasn't as bad, but I was like, well, fuck, I definitely am not trying to go there again, right? So I backed off and I, you know, let my body kind of do its thing, kind of heal a little bit. And it's been nice. The last few days, we've really been just taking it easy, you know, coffee by the fire. It's actually nice. We got some fucking firewood this week. We hadn't stocked up this past winter. We were like, yeah, like last year we had like really bad wind. Last winter was fucking crazy. And, you know, Monterey County was really like rough. A lot of rain, a lot of wind. But it was so bad. We didn't have like a monsoon cap. That's what the guy, the chimney sweep told us, that goes on top of your fucking chimney to like, I don't know, like kind of spins or whatever. And it keeps wind from going down. But we had like fucking just the smoke. Like we'd start a fire and the smoke just blew back in. It was horrible. We were dusting our fucking walls for weeks of ashes. So we were a little timid to put another fire into the fireplace, to say the least, this year. And the other day we called up a buddy, got a big stack of wood. He brought his kids and had them fucking unload it and stack it. It was great. And yeah, we've been burning fires for like the last 4 days straight. And it's been really nice. Kind of rearranged the furniture, been having fun with the house. But yeah, it's been nice to slow down and kind of, you know, let the body heal, focus on things I want to focus on, and just relax. Like, I just don't really relax that much. Like, even yesterday, I usually do the show on Monday, and today's Tuesday, and I was like beating myself up. I'm like, fuck, like you didn't do it on Monday, you fucking piece of shit. You should have fucking done it. And, you know, it's one day, you know, and I look at one day as like, this is like, I think time's the most valuable asset. So I look at one day, I'm like, fuck, like I'm never getting tomorrow back. And I think that's a healthy mindset to have, but I can't beat myself up so much, you know, I do it to myself. But anyways, been hanging out by the fire. I've been going through a lot of, you know, screenplays and stuff. Here's the deal. I kind of said this last week, but Stevie's health, it's been better than it has been in a long time, but it's still not there. He's still not out of the woods, and it's going on not quite a year yet, but we're getting there, right? And so it's like, well, fuck, I even was looking shit up. I was like, bro, like you got to get tested for this or do that, just because like we got to find out what it is. And he's pretty sure he knows what it is, but it's really like, it's not dictating what I'm going to do next, but like, you know, I prefer to use him as my lead, right? Because like we just have a vision for like what we're going to do with the movie and everything. And not having him be there, it's like, okay, well, this idea, like I started going, I'll segue into this. I started going into an idea that I've had for a while. I wrote it during Peninsula Nights, kind of like when my back was out. I actually just banged out the script, you know, and it's a great 90 pages. I really love this script, and I want Stevie to play the lead, but it's like, I started going through it, and then like, I was like, okay, well, like realistically, like he needs to be there to make it. So he needs to get better soon. That's like my like goal is like, okay, well, let's get him better. So we're, and it's not like he hasn't healed up, but it's just like a lot of our focus lately is just on like wellness, health, wealth, you know, the three big ones, trying to just stay sustainable, but also healthy and feeling good about it the whole time. So that's been kind of like what we've been up to. Sitting by a fire with your fucking Bengal cat, drinking some nice ass blue bottle coffee, just chilling, is therapeutic for me. You know, throw on a classic, little Potter, maybe some Star Wars. It's the time of the year where you're still, I know Christmas is over, but you still throw on a franchise movie. You're watching it, you're not. Doesn't really matter. We've also been watching a lot of good cinema, and we've been watching a lot of TV shows. I'll get into that. But when you're just chilling, hanging out, you're not really planning on going out or doing anything crazy, it's nice to just have something familiar. It's like movies, I feel like, are like a fireplace. You got this warm little fireplace you can gather around. And it's just really about like, I don't know, some movies are just nostalgic, or they just invoke feelings that you haven't felt in a while. So, and most important feeling is probably comfort. So movies are just comfort movies. You throw it on just because you've seen it 100 times, and there's something about it that just, it lets you relax. It's escapism, but it's also just, you know, it's like a Xanax of fucking, art. You throw it on, you got this fucking 2.5 hours, and you just fucking forget about all your problems. And I think that's like one of the best things movies can do is they can just take you to that place. So anyways, it's a little bit more philosophical note, but been hanging out at the house. Just been thinking, like I said, just been thinking a lot about what I want to do next. I guess I also got to remember it's a marathon, not a race, and it's a long haul. But yeah, I think been writing a little bit, trying to just what I was going to say is I'm going to redraft this one script I have, Harmony, which is kind of about a group of musicians that go to a writer's camp. There's a romance that ensues. I won't give away too much. But yeah, I need to read. I was reading it when I was on the treadmill the other day, and it was like I could just see already. I was like, fuck, like it needs this to be changed. Not even in a bad way, but I was like, I could do better now. Because I've written like, between the time I wrote this script and whatever, like the present, I've probably written 20 or 30 screenplays. And I don't think about it, and it's not even like this one. This one was just as good as all the others. But I was like, oh, I could just add this little thing in there. That'll be more movie. Or this will be more like, and look, I say these things like, oh, that would be more movie. Like, how else do you want me to describe it? I'm not saying people are coming after me, but like, I see some people that get so like, I don't know, they get flamboyant and pompous about the way they describe art. And it's probably because I just watched the Golden Globes. But I'm like, dude, it's a movie. Like, you see, I think a lot of people are overthinking this shit in general. That's what I've noticed. Or they're intentionally dressing it up to make you think that it's harder. This is something I've noticed a lot between like, either like with the really, really indie people I've met or the really, really Hollywood people I've met. Like the super, like, I want to be Hollywood, which is like, I don't know. I've never been like, I need to be seen in a certain way kind of guy. Like, I don't know. Come on, I'm making it because I love it. Hopefully other people like it too. But I've noticed that a lot of people try to dress it up like it's so fucking difficult to make a movie. And I'm not undercutting the fact that it is difficult to make a movie, but it's like, and you can go out and make a movie. It might just not be good, but you could make it. But like some people act like it's just like, oh, like you have to have a passport to get into Hollywood. You need citizenship. It's just like, just fucking relax, guy. Like it's fucking art, And I think that's why I kind of like it. I feel like it's anyone's game. If you can pull it off and you're smart enough to do it, and I get it, some people might not have the intellect or the fucking right, recipe to go out and make something that's going to make a fucking wave. And that's just honest truth. You could probably go out and make something, like I said, but some people aren't going to have that X factor that makes you fucking, blow up. But like I said, it's like fucking the Huns throwing their fucking hooks over the wall and going over the Great Wall. Like some people are going to get in no matter what, just because they're smart as fuck, or they have the drive, or they make the right thing, the right IP. And I like that. I get off on that idea that you could like, you can't beat them, join them, but you could join them by beating them, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like where I'm like, I don't know. I like that. But anyways, I think making a movie isn't as crazy as people think. And I think people need to like break the mental prison or the walls that like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So you can fucking do it. You just got to go out and do it. You got to put in the time to fucking learn how to make a movie and study cinema and maybe read some fucking books, maybe watch some fucking YouTube videos, try and like study it. And this is for people that are serious. I think I'm talking like broad strokes here. Like if you're interested, I'm like, if you're fucking serious about doing it as a career, yes, like you might need to put some fucking time in. It's not just like you're going to just, walk onto set and like, what is it? The Dunning-Kruger effect, where you just think you know how to do something better than an expert. And an expert has had so much experience and failure that they're like, whoa, like you could do it like that, but they still question themselves, even though they know the most about the subject matter. I think that's like a lot of people, like Hollywood is like Dunning-Kruger central, like literally. And I met my fair share of people who thought they were going to be, Martin Scorsese. And then I've met, people that the more humble, and they end up being like really talented, like, and they just don't have the confidence, or they can't break free from like the mental prison I'm talking about. And anyways, I guess that's just something I've been thinking about a lot lately too. It's just, I think people are caught up. They're caught up in this like mentality that they need all this money, they need all these resources to go out and just make something. And it's like, I get it. Some people want to go out and make fucking, the Avengers on a nickel and dime budget. It's just probably not going to fucking work unless you are a VFX genius. But if you just want to make a movie, you and your friends or a couple people just fucking together that love making movies or love a movie and want to make a movie like that movie, what doesn't matter? Like you get inspired because you saw something and you want to go out and create something. I always say this all the time. Sometimes I watch, it's like watching Titanic. I mentioned this movie a lot lately, but if you watch Titanic, it's the type of movie where you're like done watching, you're like, wow, I want to go make a movie, because it makes you feel like there's something so great and epic and important. There's something that draws you in like a fucking magnet to these films that do inspire you that way. And it could be everybody's got their Titanic, right? But they make you think like, fuck, like I'd like to do that. There's something special about the experience of watching movies. And it's not like movies are so narrow where it's like, well, some people feel this when they watch movies. I think most fucking people feel something when they watch a movie, let alone have this moment I'm talking about where it's like, wow, I'd love to be a part of that. You know, maybe it's the young person's heart that thinks like, oh, like the movies, you know, because Hollywood, obviously a lot of people go to Hollywood when they're young, you know, the Hollywood hopefuls, you know, late teens to fucking even younger than that. Sometimes you got fucking, you know, younger actors out there, but all generations, it hits them. And some people come, some people go, some people stick around, some stay, some get washed away in the fucking, you know, waves of Hollywood. But yeah, it's, you know, there's this magnetism around cinema that could just come from something so simple. You don't have to make, like I said, you don't have to make a blockbuster. You could just make something really honest and good. And you could just fucking, like I said, you could scale the wall. You don't need to have the, you know, craziest action movie. You know, something like I always used to joke, it's young people, and I was guilty of it too, but you always thought you needed a fucking gun in a movie to make it like real, or some action sequence, right? Like some James Bond, Mission Impossible shit. And like, I love those movies. But I remember even like when I was in film studies in high school, everybody wanted to make something action. Even I did. I made this like short film called Holding Room. If I can find it, I'll post it. It's ridiculous. It's like very elementary, but there's like, you know, it's all there. It's just the way it was made was very, like, the production was low. It's fun to watch though. If I can find it, I'll post it. But besides the point, you know, making something for your first time could be like action driven or like this intense thing. I think it's where a lot of people's mind goes. But then, you know, the next thing I shot for this film studies class was like, I actually wasn't supposed to take the class. I signed up for it, went again I took it like junior year and then senior year. And then when I went back, the teacher's like, yeah, you just can't take this elective twice. And I was like, fuck, like it's the only one I want. Ended up taking JavaScript. But besides the point, I directed the movie for my friends who were in the class, even though I wasn't in the class, if that makes sense. We ended up making this like band documentary movie, which was like a mockumentary. It's very like on time, like The Office. And you know, I think it was like, I was like, even there, I was like, okay, like I ditched the, you know, action movie approach and went with something extremely human. Like I already had all the band shit at my house. We had a recording studio upstairs, you know, guitars everywhere, amps. It looked like a fucking band would be recording their album here, the computer in the corner with the fucking speakers, everything. And yeah, it just, you know, I think it's an amateur thing. I don't want to be rude. I'm just saying, I think it's something that, you know, a lot of people go to first, like, oh, it's either really funny or really, you know, violent or crazy or action. I guess scary too, but like honestly, nobody really did scares in film studies. But besides the point, you know, and I guess I kind of did both things. I did the fucking, you know, action movie and then I did the fucking comedy thing. But besides the point, I think if you're going to make something, don't get caught up on making something on the biggest scale, the most grandeur project. Like, yeah, just make something that's got some heart, you know? One of my buddies made a short film called Hey Sarah by Dominic Atoni, really great short film. And, this was definitely not amateur. This was like a professional short film. But my point more so is that it was really just played on emotion. You know, the screenplay was good. It had the heart. It had the acting. You know, it was professionally filmed. It had everything that you needed to make it good. But it wasn't trying to be like Star Wars. It was just trying to be something that, you know, can make you feel something. And, you know, that's, I think, what you should do. You should try and make something that can play on the heartstrings, because you can play on the emotions. You can always add to that. You can't just show fucking jets and fucking bombs and missiles and expect people to feel something. Some people might get off on that, and that might, you know, be what they're into, but you got to start at the core, is what I'm saying, is with the human emotion, the human connection, relatability, then build on top of that. With any story you're making, and especially if you're a young filmmaker who wants to go out there and make a movie or make a short film, start with the, you know, the script needs to have the heart and soul, which is the relationships or the emotional connection. Otherwise, people just won't give a fuck. And that's just my honest opinion. I just don't think people are going to care. You got to make us care. You know, and Christine always jokes, she hates the sob story in a movie where it's like, you know, the character starts going into their sad story. But I always defend it because I do think it is a plot device that works. It gives you a little bit to care about. But her joke is usually, it's like always like, oh, like the mom had cancer or the dad, you know, got in a car accident. The, you know, little brother drowned. I get it. It's a, you know, it's not an archetype necessarily, as it's a trope, right? But those tropes work for a reason. They're tropes for a reason. And I totally get where she's coming from because some of it's played out, but that's the thing, is like, we need that little bit of fat to chew on that makes us care about the character emotionally. We need to understand where the character is coming from, motivations, why they feel this way. There is times where it's really well done. Like, we just watched Manchester by the Sea, and Casey Affleck's character, he has his sob story. He has his trope of why he is the way he is. But the way the screenplay is written, it unfolds in a way that you're not expecting it to. And the information is disseminated very, very like specifically. You're not getting it all at once. They're like, here, we're going to give you a little slice. Here's a little slice here. It's not just, here's what happened to him, like first scene, cold open, which is often what a movie does. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, there's no right way to do it. I don't want to criticize other people's like method of writing or framing it up and etc. So much as get to the point that like these things can be done originally despite being maybe played out, or if they are tropes. There's always room for another story, and stories mostly are the same. You go watch 5 fucking movies in a row, they're all going to have similar fucking story beats. If you watch 5 movies in the same genre, I guarantee you see 5 things that are exactly the same. It's just all about how you do it. And it's all about that person's style and execution. Productions change the way things are made. The DP alone could change the way a movie looks, the way the director moves the camera, the actors in it, the time, the setting. I could go on and on. Don't be afraid to just, when you're writing or making your first movie, don't be afraid to do something that just works. That's okay to do too. Anyways, I didn't expect to go on that big of a rant about this stuff, but here we are in the first, fucking half, and I've already rambled on about fucking filmmaking. What else did I do this week? And I'll get back to filmmaking advice, but I did jury duty. I had jury duty yesterday morning. That's why I didn't do the pod. Woke up early as fuck. Had to be there at 8:15, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But man, I got there and I had a doctor's appointment at 9:20. I showed the lady like the My Chart app. I'm like, look, I got this thing at 9:20. I'm not even trying to be rude. It's like, I'll come back. It was a video call. I was like, I'll come back. And she just fucking wouldn't. She had her fucking, claws on me. She's like, yeah, absolutely not. You've postponed this 4 times. You're only supposed to get 1 postponement. I just like, look, dude, I'm asking you nicely. I'm showing you evidence. I got a doctor's appointment. And man, she just hated me. I think it's because I called ahead and I could recognize her voice. And I wasn't even difficult on the phone. I was nice, like, hey, like, I might not be able to make it. And then she's like, you have to come. I'm like, okay. And then when I got there, I'm like, she definitely remembered me. And I didn't really remember her, but then when I heard her start talking, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're definitely that lady I talked to. So anyways, I took it, sat down, waited, long ass wait. I think I got there at 8:15. They didn't even start talking until like 8:50. No, but 8:45, they put on a video. It was like the most Hollywood cheesy ass, like, this is what jury duty is and civic duty, blah, blah, blah. And I like played it out, and like the testimonials seemed legitimate. Like the people that were like, oh, I actually enjoyed doing jury duty. And then it cut into like, I guess the recreation of the courtroom. And it was just so Hollywood. Like somebody was like asking the witness a question. They're like, so he was violent the night you were there and like saw what happened. And then like the other lawyer stands up with both his arms on the seat. Objection, Your Honor. I just like, oh my God. Like it was hilarious to watch though. I was actually like pleasantly surprised by the production. It was well made. I'll say that, for some fucking government jury duty info video. Yeah, wasn't bad. It was actually really well shot too. But besides the point, I watched that shit, and then fucking around like around like 8:55, they started calling names, and they needed 75 people. I guess they get 75 jurors, and then they whittle it down to 12, right? They call 75 people. The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, fucking don't call me. Don't call me. Not me. Not today. And it's like, it's not like I had some big plans other than this doctor's appointment, but I was just like, fucking, nah, I don't want to be here. The courthouse, it's not a great place to be. Very Art Deco, but you don't want to be at the courthouse. They're calling names, 74, 75. I'm not on it. I'm like, thank you, God. Wait, the guy's kind of like, okay. And then he like says to all the other jurors around like 10 o'clock, he's like, all right, if you're still here, or not 10 o'clock, it's around like 9 o'clock. He's like, if you're still here, like they need 3 more jurors. So everyone's dismissed till 10. I'm like, well, fuck. I guess I'll go chill. Talk to my doc. The appointment was good. Got a coffee, went back in. We get in there. Wait till about 10:10. The guy comes back out. And he's like, okay, everybody. He's like, they settled. So there's no jury, no trial needed. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. And I'll be honest, out of all the times they sent me this jury duty paperwork, it was the first time I ever went. So I guess that's why the experience to me was new. It was interesting. part of me was like 1% excited I might get to do jury duty. Because after the video, I was like, okay, like, yeah, I do get to like help, decide somebody's fate. I'm a good thinker. I think if I saw the evidence, I'd be able to make a good deduction whether this person was innocent, guilty, or whatever the situation was. So there was a part of me that was excited. I've also watched a ton of courtroom drama. We've been watching Juror Number 2 a lot, Clint Eastwood's latest movie, and it literally made me, like, obviously I wouldn't be in that situation, but it literally made me think, like, fucking would be fun, But they pay like shit, and there's no amenities. You're literally, like, at the government's will. You have to be there, and they weren't nice. Well, I'll say this. The lady I talked to wasn't nice. The rest of the staff, they tried to, you could tell, it felt like going to high school. Like, it was like a gymnasium vibe, like, okay, everybody, da, da, da. And I was like, God, I haven't been in a setting like this in a while. Just one of those big public settings where it's like you and a bunch of strangers, but every stranger just fucking of every age. It was interesting. It was like going to the airport, except nobody wanted to be there. There's nothing to look forward to other than, like, I guess I might get picked for this fucking thing. Anyways, jury duty was fucking jury duty. It's about what you'd think. But yeah, other than that, this week was good. Just been focused on filmmaking. Like I said, I've been thinking about that idea Harmony. I'd like to make it. I think I can make it at home. With mostly just with what I have, which is good. Been considering maybe writing a Salinas movie. I know it sounds, doesn't even sound. It's just like, it's something I've been thinking of. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Maybe I'll just write something because I'm already here. And I'm like, I could just bang out a script and I could make it happen. This is the worst time of the year to film as well, because not only is it like there could be rain and stuff, but it's just so cold outside. You don't want to be outside in January in fucking Monterey County filming a movie at night. And it's not like the movie's going to take place only at night, but I have an affinity for shooting in the evenings and at night. And like, even when I do test footage, like I don't hate shooting during the day, but like shooting at night, there's something about it, dude. Everything just looks better. I don't know. Love the nighttime. Love movies that take place at night. Love it. Taxi Driver, Nightcrawler. You find a nighttime movie, you send it to me, okay? Anyways, been watching a lot of stuff lately. Been watching a lot of movies, a lot of flicks. The most recent thing I've been watching avidly, like every day since it's like coming out, is Landman. I'm in season 2. I think I'm on the second to latest episode, so don't spoil it for me. But yeah, it's been refreshingly good. Here's the deal. I know Taylor Sheridan more so, the creator of the show, writer of the show. I know him more so from Hell or High Water. He wrote it. I know he did Yellowstone, but I've never seen it. I'm going to watch it, obviously, after watching Landman. I know he did Tulsa King. He's done a ton of shows, 1883, all the fucking prequels and sequels to that shit. He wrote the Sicario script. He's a G. I've always loved his work since I've seen it. But watching Landman, it's just been really, like, it's just an easy ride. And maybe some people don't like it. People are always going to be critical. People talk shit about every show. There's always going to be haters. But Landman looks like it's doing pretty fucking good. #1 show on Amazon Prime or Paramount Plus, whatever it's coming out on. People talk about it. I see the clips on social media. When I was in Ireland, my friend Anthony and his dad were watching the show. So what does that tell you? It's internationally popular. And yeah, I mean, Billy Bob Thornton's, it might be one of his best characters. I love him in all of his other stuff, but for his age, where he's at in his career, he could just say, fuck it. Like, I don't have to go out and do the next best thing. He could just do paycheck movies and stuff. And I've seen him talk. He's definitely not that type of guy. He's a good guy. But it's one of his best characters. What's his name in the show? Tommy Norris. He is an excellent character. It's something that everybody could like. You could just watch the show and objectively it's just entertaining. Like, it's just good. Here's the deal. It's not trying to be anything. It's just a show about a guy working on the fucking Permian Basin, drilling oil. He's a landman, and the story escalates from there. He's got his family problems. He's got his work problems. He's got problems with nefarious bad actors like the cartel. It's awesome. And I think there's a few reasons it's popular. I think one, it's an original idea. And I think it's also an idea where like people are interested in this field, like energy, oil, especially right now with all this Venezuelan shit going on. I'm sure people are like, where does our oil come from? Right. It's Americana. And I hate to say it. I've said this a few times, but I feel like, if you want to look at who won the culture war recently, I'd say like conservatism. It has won the culture war, not in the sense of like political necessarily, but like what people are attracted to. Landman's number one for a fucking reason. Whether you want to hear this or not, I don't really care. But it's because the culture war has dictated that this is where people want to see culture go, or this is what they're attracted to in culture right now. It is just popular culture at the moment. Will it stick? Who knows? But I think it's a timeless cultural, world. Texas, the, Wild West, the frontier, land, oil. The only thing they're really missing in the show is fucking horses. There's guns, there's fucking sex, business dealings, money, greed. I don't know. It's a show that I think like you can just sink your teeth into, and it kind of takes you to like this fantastical version of like Fort Worth and Texas and West Texas, rather. And this like culture that like we're getting to like peel back and like look into. And like I said, I haven't seen Yellowstone, and like I've watched a little bit of Tulsa King, but like this show really is just highlighting or spotlighting, this little part of Americana. And I think that's what people are attracted to. Obviously there's like famous actors in it, and Billy Bob's the anchor for sure. But like, I don't know. The show has got this, like, it's just very, I would not call it pure. It's definitely fantastical and it's over the top at moments and like whatever you want to call it. But I think it's interesting. I think it's like, it's obviously leading the way. And I think you're going to end up seeing a lot more shows like this. You're going to see a lot more movies like this, like based around this ideology, or not ideology, this environment, this aesthetic. Because, one thing Hollywood does is when they have a hit, they just continue to fucking pile on that hit, So I'd expect more cowboy shit, more guys in trucks driving around fucking Texas and, rural America. It just, and this isn't new. This shit happened in the 2010s. We had like No Country for Old Men. Like I said, Hell or High Water. This isn't even a Western either. It's not like that was like the neo-Western era where everything was like this mysterious Western, like the Coen Brothers style or, Tarantino style even. It's moved beyond that. Now this is like a modern, contemporary fucking, I don't know, Texas show. I haven't really seen that many other shows about Texas, I guess, in particular. I mean, a few years ago, there was that Sean Baker movie, Red Rocket, which takes place in Texas, but that was like, once again, different tone. It plays on similar elements, definitely, like, I'd say even like showing like maybe even a lower class of the Texas lifestyle in that movie. Although they do talk about refinery workers and like pipeliners, Texas City. So I guess it's not that far off. Interesting. Anyways, that's more of a comparison between the two. But yeah, I think Landman, what I think I've noticed about it, I think it's leading the charge in what like, demand, supply and demand. I think if you continue supplying shows like Landman, which, some people like, I had people commenting on my shit the other day on TikTok saying like Taylor Sheridan needs to get like, he's like the worst writer. Like, I don't like his shows at all. I don't like his characters. I'm like, but that's what I'm saying is like, maybe you don't like it, but I think this is an expanding like market. His style, his brand, I guess that's the right word I've been looking for the whole time. His brand of show is popular. And I think it's only going to get more popular. It'll get played out eventually or maybe tired out, maybe, but I think we all know this about Hollywood. When something's hitting, they hit it fucking harder. They want to make as much as they can and get as much as they can out of that. So food for thought. The other show I've been watching has been Fallout. Fallout's been pretty good. I don't know if you guys saw season 1. It was really good. For a video game show, usually these things don't work. And that's just my honest take. Like sometimes these things come out and like, you're just like, yeah, like I like the video game. I don't know about Fallout. Fallout had a great IP though. And if you know what it's about, it's kind of like this company, Vault Tech, builds all these underground vaults all over America, maybe all over the world. And they kind of induce a nuclear war to play out their plan. They get so obsessed with the idea of doomsday, they plan it themselves and then do experiments and have all these vaults and all this nefarious shit going on. And it's very interesting. And in the Fallout TV series, we follow this girl, Lucy McLean, played by Ella Purnell, and her journey to kind of like find out the truth about her dad, who's kind of like one of the other main villains. And then just she starts seeing what life is like outside of her vault. Because in the vault, like, these vaults have been there for like 200 years. They don't know what's on the surface after it's been nuked. And when she finally goes up to the top, she sees it's not great. It's dangerous, but she's also very intrigued. She's like, wow, I can't believe the surface exists. And since she's been in a vault, she's naive to the fact that like there are bad people on the surface. So it's kind of her journey. Walton Goggins plays the ghoul. It's kind of like the second lead in the show. His name from the show is escaping me right now, but besides the point, he and her kind of team up and they are just going on this odyssey through, I guess, like California and Nevada to find the dad, right? And they have all mishaps on the way, and it incorporates things from the video games. I played the game, so I'm more familiar with the IP. But besides the point, we're in season 2, and it's just, continuation of the journey, and it's really good. Like every time we watch an episode, it's like an hour, and it's gone like that, just in the snap of fucking fingers, blink of an eye, it's over. And it always leaves me wanting more. I'm always kind of like, damn, that was it. But I'm like, I guess it's a good thing. If 54 or 55 minutes of an episode can just blow by like that and it leaves you wanting more, I'm like, well, that's a good show. And I've been really enjoying it. It also has a lot of timepiece elements. They use a lot of like old school music. The aesthetic and the costume and the wardrobe just so good. It's just a really fucking good show. Honestly, like Jonathan Nolan's the director, and I think he's directed less episodes this season, but he's like director creator. But he set a tone for the show in the first season that they've carried throughout this, and I'm sure he's directed some episodes in this season. But regardless, he is just, it's interesting because, having a brother like Christopher Nolan, there's a lot of like high standards in the family already. And I know they've written stuff together and stuff, but I think Jonathan Nolan also did Westworld. And then this might have been his follow-up show. I think he did something else. I can't remember. But with Fallout, he's really like, I didn't really watch Westworld. I can't critique it or say it was good or bad. I know people liked it. But with Fallout, he's really like, he's just nailing it. He's right in his groove. And even as a producer, the whole show just, it's very like, I'm going to call it contained. It's just very, what's the word I'm looking for? A sharp, I guess. Precise. It's very precise. I feel like it's just, every scene counts. Every frame's important. It doesn't feel like there's really any wasted shots. Also, the sets are great. It takes you into that video game world, but without like, I don't know why, whenever I watch video game movies, usually they try to like do shit that was super video gamey. Like, you know what I mean? If you could see it, like, I don't know, like first person point of view shit. And like, it's like, I don't need to feel like I'm in a video game. Just tell me the story. And I think that's what this did. Did it really well. Some other movies we watched this week were Sam Mendes' 1917. Really good. Acting was good. Film was good. It's a movie I'd started watching a few times and never finished. And then Christine's like, hey, should we watch it? And Stevie and I are like, yeah, fuck it. Roll it. And we watched it from start to finish, and it was just good. I love the way they stitched together the cinematography to make it look like it's almost like as if it's one continuous shot. There's some cuts. But the fact they tried to do that, it made it super engaging. And I kind of talked about this last week as well. Sometimes when you go for just a master shot and you're not worried about it being like, oh, here's the coverage and here's this and here's that, and you just go for one continuous take or try and get as much in one shot, you can't take your eyes off of that because your mind is saying, well, I don't want to miss anything, right? And this is if you're really dialed in. And I think that might be like, I don't know, I think that might be one of the secret sauces of filmmaking, is not shooting coverage too much and not breaking away. And there's creative ways to do it both ways. I like both. I just watched Chinatown, coverage all over the place. But sometimes just staying on the shot, like 1917, and making it feel like it's all happening at once. And not only, and this is maybe if you're going even for realism, less than fun, more for real. And like in the moment, very artistic, in my opinion. That might be the secret sauce. It always works. But that was the thing I really noticed watching it, was the one shot kind of experience was just so good. It made it feel, I don't know, like I said, it made it feel real. And you really cared about the character. I have the names written here. I think it's George McKay may have been the lead. I want to say this Dean Charles Chapman might have been the second lead. He might have played Tommen in Game of Thrones, and I'm almost done with Game of Thrones, but he was really good. I had just seen him in Game of Thrones, so I was like, oh, it's that kid. But yeah, great acting, really fucking just superb film. And Sam Mendes speaks for himself. He's at Skyfall, American Beauty. He's a world-class director, and I know his movie's a few years older, and that's not a big deal, but I mean, wow. I finally saw the scene where it gets clipped all the time, where the kid's like running through the battlefield. And I was like, that's the one I always see on IG. It just gets clipped all the time. I don't know why, but anyways, really good movie. The Town is another movie you watch this week. We've been watching a lot of Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck films, a lot of Boston movies. The Town was excellent. I've seen this movie hundreds of times. And Christine hadn't seen it before, and she's like, oh, like we were watching all the Affleck movies, all the Boston movies. She's like, let's watch them. I'm like, okay, this is like one of the better ones. And man, I forgot how menacing Jeremy Renner's character was in this movie. Like, he is straight up, like, he's a menace. Heartless, soulless motherfucker who just, like, really, like, I was trying to think, what's his motive in this movie to be the way he is? He did hard time. He did, like, 9 years for manslaughter, right? Kills somebody, goes to jail, gets out. But, man, when he's out, he kind of tells Ben Affleck at one point, he's like, I'm not going back. Like, I'll have court in the street, which means he'll just fucking die going down shooting, right? Guns blazing. When I heard that, it kind of made me think like his character doesn't care about anything because he already thinks like, he's like, this is as good as it's going to get. If anything happens to me at this point, he's like, I'm not going back to jail. I can't do another year. And I couldn't even imagine going to jail for a year, let alone 9. I mean, it's scary at the thought, but his character just, you know, I think when you break somebody that bad and they're already such a bad person that they're a loose cannon. Letting him out's the worst thing you can do because he's just like, fuck it. Now that I'm out, like I have nothing to lose. I can get whatever I want. He'll go rob a bank. He'll shoot somebody. He was also bloodthirsty. I think he also thought like, fuck it. I've lost time of my life. What's the difference at this point? Makes you think maybe like, you know, I think prison needs to exist 100%. But like some of these people, like maybe getting out isn't a good thing for them because then they just become even more of a danger to society because they just don't give a fuck even more. Because they're like, well, fuck it. You stole from me. I'm going to steal from you. And you stole time from them. That's how I felt his character felt, I guess. Just complete loose cannon, totally wild. Anyways, the town was really good. Ben Affleck's directing was definitely better in it. It was still, it's funny, between Gone Baby Gone and even the town, like there's elements of the town that are expensive for sure. But like, even when Stevie and I were watching it, he's just like, God, I didn't realize how like low budget a lot of these movies are. I'm like, they get, you know, 30 or 40 or $50 million, but they also got to pay the actors. They got to pay the crew. It's got to be done with insurance and all, you know, tip-top shit because it's a fucking studio picture. They got to get real locations and, you know, on location like Boston, Fenway, etc. Those aren't cheap. And they're probably not as expensive as we think. But my point more so is I'm like, yeah, like the stories usually aren't that expensive. It's the people or the crew or the location. That adds up. But the story itself, like if you wanted to make, I mean, the town on an indie budget, you'd have to have a pretty good props guy make the gunfighting scenes. There's like the chase scene would be very difficult to do in the town where they like, they rob a guarded truck and then they have this crazy chase scene. I even told Stevie, I was like, I think this is like, you know, I think Ben Affleck said, if I'm doing a car chase, I'm doing the best fucking car chase I could do. And he did. I think he nailed it. It's a great fucking scene. Every time I watch it, I'm just eyes on the screen. You just can't look away. But yeah, that might be something that would cost a little bit of money. Cars fucking smashing into each other, cops, fucking, you know, bullets, breaking glass. It's all a lot of effects. But besides the point, like most of the movie, the drama of the movie, you could probably make the town for nothing if you just cut out the action sequences and just had, you know, let me just say it, the pitch. A man robs a bank and falls in love with the girl who worked at the bank that they took as a hostage because he's trying to follow her to see if she's talking to the feds. Okay, that objectively speaking, like they could just be going on dates and talking and texting. The FBI comes to her door a few times. Like it could be so simple. It could be. But because it's Ben Affleck and he's got the money in the studio and the, you know, who he is, they could go out and film these crazy bank robbery scenes and these armored truck fucking scenes, these car chases. But at the core of it is really what I just said. It's a romance movie between a robber and a girl who worked at the bank, the teller or the bank manager, whatever her role was. And it's that simple. That's really what the fucking meat of the story is. Because we care about the other stuff, but what we really care about is like, these two going to get together? Is he going to get away with it? Is he going to get away with his actions, his robberies? What's going to happen to these two people? Anyways, food for thought. I've seen The Town many times, so like I'm seeing this is like a new take on it. But overall, it's just a fucking 10 out of 10 movie. If you haven't seen The Town, quintessential Boston movie, definitely fucking watch it. This next movie is a movie I had not seen before. I'm very familiar with Larry Charles and Sacha Baron Cohen, but I had never fucking seen The Dictator 2012. Threw it on the other night. I was just laying in bed. I was like, fuck it. You know, I always see this movie come up. And like, I like Borat, but like, I didn't really watch that much Sacha Baron Cohen shit. I knew him from like Talladega Nights. Like, you know, oh, Ricky Bobby. That's it. As the French fucking Perrier driver, right? He's like the F1 guy gone NASCAR. But I decided to give The Dictator a chance. For 2012, this movie was so ahead of its time. It could be played today and it would be just as like, it'd be a parody of today. He is a very, very funny fucking guy. And he and Larry Charles, when they work together, they make very, very funny movies. The movie played on so much of like all the political tension in the United States today, the protesting, the, you know, who's right, who's wrong mentality. It was so funny to see because it's like, I think people think all this shit we're living through is new. And it's like, dude, this shit's been going on forever. And that's something I've really been thinking about lately. I'm like, a lot of this shit, it's just like history repeats itself. And this is going to go on forever. I don't think there's really ever going to be an end to whatever we think we can fucking solve or the solution, etc. Like, and I've accepted that. I think, like, this movie really showcased, like, there's always going to be a bad actor who rises up in a, country that thinks they can control all the assets and live like a king and do whatever they want to do. It's fucking, in this movie, he's like Sacha Baron Cohen plays like the, general of a country called Wadia, and some fake country in Africa. And it's just hilarious. Like, he runs his own Olympics and says that he's like the winner. Like, and he's like shooting people while he's running around, or like he fucking has his own like Oscars and he's the best actor and everything. He's just remaking American movies. It's very like Kim Jong-un. And it was just fucking hilarious. He also wants to like refine uranium and says he's using it for like good purposes, etc. And it's just like, obviously it's a parody of like every bad actor in the world. I don't mean bad actor in terms of acting. I mean like fucking nefarious political, I guess this is a fucking dictatorship. So yeah. And it just nailed it. It was kind of reminiscent of The Interview. Not the same, but like in that tone of comedy, like political satire. And anyways, the dude comes to America in the movie, the dictator, because he has to meet with the UN, because they're like, hey, dude, we got to see what your nuclear program looks like. It's literally like the shit that's going on today. And it's just funny because, he ends up having like, they want to take him out and assassinate him and put his double in to replace him so that they can just like rewrite the constitution in their country and get rid of the dictatorship, which is, objectively sounds good. And he's freaking out. He's like, I can't believe this. I'm going to lose my dictatorship. And like from there, he meets like this ultra liberal Anna Faris. Like she plays like, like a protester chick. And like, it's good because they end up like, falling in love, and like it changes his opinion on like being a dictator. And like, it's fucking really funny. This movie could, like I said, it could play today. It was like literally like something out of today. And I thought it was hilarious. Every joke was good. Sure, there's some immature shit, but like that's the shit that makes you laugh the hardest, honestly. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, go watch The Dictatorship, or The Dictator, not The Dictatorship, just The Dictator 2012. It was hilarious. It was refreshingly funny because like also sometimes I just think comedy, at least like mainstream comedy right now, it's just not bold enough. It's not dangerous enough. It needs to just go there. It's okay to make something offensive and insulting and politically incorrect. I think people think it's not, but like, that's why people are laughing at something. I'm not saying go and be fucking like a bigot. I'm saying think about what you're trying to satire, what you're trying to, I guess, satirize, what you're trying to make satire about. And then, do what you think would be funny with it. That's like, actually good. And that's what I think he did. Sacha Baron Cohen, he's like a master of it. His shit always offends people. Borat, like I remember when Borat came out, I had to go and see it in theaters because my friends and I were like, dude, it sounds like the most offensive movie ever. And when you're young and you're a fucking teenage boy, what do you want to do? You want to see the shit with the dirtiest joke or the most fucking offensive movie out there, the shit that you can go tell your friends like, oh, I saw that. It was fucking outrageous. And at the time, Borat was one of those movies. And like, this is a far cry from a Borat in terms of like, how do I say, this is like a movie. Borat was like a mockumentary style movie. This is like a real straight narrative, like broad comedy. But I don't know, even despite it being such a ridiculous movie, it's got the heart and soul, the emotional connection. It's also funny in the movie, like the dictator, like he's like paying celebrities to sleep with him, like Megan Fox. And he takes a picture with her after he's done. And he's like, hey, like, do you want to cuddle? And she's like, no, like I got to go. I can't stick around. And he puts the picture up on the wall and he's got like 1,000 photos of him and other celebrities he slept with. But obviously he's still lonely. And it just says like, hey, look, even though this guy's this rich dictator, he's still, at the end of the day, he feels like, human. And he's got emotions and he's offended that he doesn't have like a real relationship. And it's kind of like the movie at the end is like, oh, well, love can change all that. And it's like, hey, even for having such a broad comedy, he's made a movie that has a heart and soul, which gets back to the entire point of this whole fucking podcast so far, is that sometimes the movie can have a heart and soul without the heart and soul, rather. You can't have all the other stuff like the dictatorship. Like I could pitch it again, a super simple version. A foreign dictator living an extravagant lifestyle still can't find love until one day he meets his polar opposite and everything changes. That could be made for cheap. It could be made for fucking nothing. But because we want to see all the other stuff, all the glitz and glam and the locations, him in New York driving 100 Lambos down the fucking, street, with his armed security, that costs money. Those shots aren't free. It's not cheap. But if, let's say the dictator just took a trip to New York and was staying at a hotel and met one of the staff members or the protester outside, and he fell in love and it changed his life. And he's like, you know what? Actually, I don't think I should be a dictator anymore. That could be done for cheap. Anyways, like I say with all these movies and all these ideas, they're all good. They're all, doable. Some of them are going to be done up bigger. So if you are trying to make a movie, which I don't know, I think it's because I've been thinking a lot about movies and making them so much more than just passively, I'm just watching movies. Whatever your idea is, it could be big, but you can always do it on a small scale. I guess I'll leave you with that. I think that's really the mentality to have. Don't think you can't do it just because the idea is too big. But also keep your expectations in fucking order, because you can't have the biggest idea out there and have high expectations and try and do something that you just can't do on a budget. Yeah. But anyways, guys, I think that's about all I got. Obviously, I'll be back with episodes every week. I did add some things to my bio. Down at the bottom, I signed up for Ko-fi, or is it coffee.com? So if you want to tip or donate, you can. I don't care. I'm not asking. But I'm going to be doing the show every week in general. I'm not stopping it because I'm not turning a fucking dollar, right? But if you want to donate, there's a link in the fucking description of the YouTube video. And if not, don't worry. Just watching the show, subscribing, liking, fucking giving it a heart. That's all that fucking matters to me, honestly. That's why I'm doing it. Yeah, that's not even why I'm doing it. I appreciate anybody who's supporting it, but I'm doing it because I fucking love it. Coming up on a year here. We're going to be at episode 50 soon. And yeah, I just love doing the show. So if you're feeling generous, there's a link there. I also want to plug my website, letdepot.com. I'm going to probably do an ad read or put an ad in here somewhere on my next pod, but letdepot.com. If you're looking to fucking color your movies or find LUTs at an affordable price with a huge library, check out letdepot.com. I actually designed a lot of these LUTs myself. I spent a lot of time doing it with Stevie. We tried to do hit movies that everybody likes or shows everybody likes. If you want a LUT, let me know. I'm always down to try and design the LUT that you want. So if you are subscribed to letdepot.com, you can get exactly what you're looking for, not just be searching around the internet for, I don't know. I bought a lot of LUTs, and I can't talk about the competitors, but I do know that letdepot.com has great fucking LUTs because I use them myself. I use them to color this podcast every single week, as a matter of fact. So yeah, if you're looking for LUTs, letdepot.com. If you're feeling generous, the coffee link is in the description of the video. If not, no worries. Just keep on listening to the show. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm Devin Thomas, and this is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.